Hello, and welcome to my new perspective on Genshin Impact. Just to clarify, I do not like Genshin Impact. I think it's a cringe, and honestly, it's a mid-gacha game with anime titties. I also wouldn't care about the ethnicity representation if they didn't explicitly state that certain parts of the area were based on certain parts of the world. So the first time I played Genshin, the overall startup of the game and overall mechanics were okay to me. I'm a big Breath of the Wild fan, and this game was basically that, just with magic. Which leads me to my first issue, the overwhelming similarities between Genshin Impact and The Legend of Zelda. The major one being The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Most of the mechanics from Genshin were directly ripped from Breath of the Wild and barely redesigned. I'm going to list off every single thing I found to be in this vein of quote-unquote inspiration. The gliding mechanic is the exact same, just a different glider design. I mean hell, they even had your stamina deplete when you're gliding. You're able to climb surfaces with a similar animation, not to mention the jumping off the walls too. You can attack while falling, use stamina to run, etc. This game is quite literally a lesser version of Breath of the Wild. The cooking mechanic, exploration, swim dash, bow and arrow, attack animation, spear orbs, and being akin to deity shrines. Like, come on, it's not hard to see that this game is a ripoff. To be fair, they didn't keep the rain making you slip down the cliffs mechanic, which I suppose is an upside. It's concerning how some of these areas on the map are very similar to areas in Breath of the Wild. One being Mont Halu and Cape Oath which are very close to Satori Mountain and Cape Kales in Breath of the Wild. Another thing that irks me is how close both of the games are in art style, and with some of the anime designs. Sometimes I would get on Genshin and think I'm playing Breath of the Wild, but with anime girls. The only real difference between the art styles is that Breath of the Wild is just more polished and realistic. While Genshin with the newer Sumeru update has some new graphics, it still doesn't live up to my expectations. Still with that, they both have a core cartoonish art style. Now on to enemy designs and mannerisms, design, fighting animations. It's literally an example of, yeah, copy my homework, but make it look different so the teacher doesn't notice. Bokoblins are dim-witted, spiteful, and overall just meant to be funny looking creatures. Hilichurls are the exact same except the difference in design. They have their own cutscenes of killing animals or doing something stupid they just do because that's their whole gimmick. Hilichurls fight the same way Bokoblins do as well. The animation of them swinging their clubs over the head, having clubs in the first place, and their voices are eerily similar to Bokoblins. My overarching point of comparing Genshin to Breath of the Wild is showing that inspiration is fine, but this just seems like a complete ripoff. While Genshin Impact does have other lore and plot elements, along with even the basic mechanics being ripped from Breath of the Wild and added onto, it's still way too similar of a game, especially in Mondstadt. My second major issue is the lack of representation, despite being a game revolving around multiple cultures and regions. While in all honesty, this doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things involving the game, it's just a personal gripe I have with this game specifically. My main issue with the lack of representation is solely due to the multiple instances of the company whitewashing their own characters, having the black characters be stereotypical, and only recently adding Sumeru. However, the villains are quite literally black as well, which paints the harmful stereotype of black people are villains. Some examples of Miho whitewashing their characters is seen in the official art here. I know, sure, making a character canonically black a few shades lighter might be seen as me being sensitive or whatever you want to call it. However, counterpoint, are you black? No, but seriously, if you want to make your game have all white characters, I don't care. My main issue is when people go out of their way to recolor black characters, or when you make an entire game with supposedly different cultures and just make all the characters have the same model and redesign with a recolor. I know I sound pressed, but I'm not. I don't play this game, and honestly, it's just something that pisses me off at the moment, but unlike some of you degenerates, I can separate my life from the internet and stupid shit. The entire issue of whitewashing or stereotyping black characters is that it shows you have some sort of racism in you as a person. You could say fictional characters don't affect reality, but we all know that's a scapegoat to make yourself feel like you're doing the right thing. It's the exact same thing as saying, it's not child porn, it's drawn. This is just another reason why Genshin is just the lackluster child of the company, is due to the other Chinese companies still doing better. Let's take a look at Dislight, for example. The character design is actually pretty good and there's representation. And guess what? It was originally made by a Chinese company. The excuse that they can't do this or that because of the location isn't valid here. I'm sick of rambling, so let's just end it here. One of the things I did like and still do like about the game are the characters. My favorite, of course, being the furries and a good batch of the other characters. My overall favorite character is Goru, who is a war general for Watasumi Island in Inazuma. I played through the entirety of the story revolving around him, along with the solo hangout events, with all endings. The reason I enjoy characters like Goro boils down to their design and personality or story. The entire storyline around Inazuma was well done, but this isn't a consistent theme throughout the entire game. In my opinion, Mondstadt wasn't as strong as Liyue, and Liu doesn't compare to Inazuma, and it just goes on with each new addition of plot. The only thing gacha games have going on for them is the characters. I know this video was pretty short and just me complaining for a while, but I wanted to get my thoughts out there as sort of a retrospective. I know I haven't been uploading a lot, and it's more so due to me not being able to make a script fast enough, or just the amount of time it takes to deep dive into the topics I enjoy. But that's all I have to say. I hope you somewhat enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.